Hey, we're back again this week. Inside Out with Mr. Amazing. I'm Mr. Amazing, if you don't know that. What makes me amazing? Jesus makes me amazing. That's all. It's been a crazy week. But anyway, before we get on to that, we've got just a great lineup tonight. So, I'm Mr. Amazing. Who do we got here to the right?
George. Hey, I don't have as much to say as him. I'm just George, but I'm happy to just be George.
Okay, you brought your guitar today.
I did.
That's good.
Yay.
We'll do some tunes. We'll see what we talk about. We'll see if you stay on script.
Okay, I will.
And then I'll try to figure out what song would be nice. And
I'm going to stay on
keep
script.
you on my toes there. Yeah.
And who else we got here? Oh, we got Kimberly.
I'm Kim Burley.
Kimberly.
And I'm good. I'm just Kimberly.
Yeah.
Just here.
Kimberly's been losing weight if you haven't noticed. But you have noticed.
Yeah, 20 pounds. You better
20 pounds, yes.
say something in the comments.
Yeah, she's doing really good. And we got a special guest today. It's Cy. It's Uncle Cy. I'm telling you, doesn't he look like Uncle Cy?
God.
Didn't
Here I
think
am.
about this until right now.
We got a famous guy on here.
We got a famous guy. So if you need a duck call, just put it in the comment. We'll see if we can get you one.
That's right.
So anyway, this is Jim from the gym,
Yay.
right?
That's right.
Glad
Jim
you're
from
here.
the gym.
Jim from the gym. So you remember we've always talking about Jim from the gym, and Jim's got questions, and Jim's always watching our podcasts, and Jim's super encouraging. So I thought, you know what? A lot of people are probably wondering who this Jim from the gym is.
Here he is,
Anyway,
ladies.
It is, ladies. That's right. I didn't think of that. Sorry, Ben. But Jim here is going to steal all your ladies from you. That is funny.
Poor Ben Shields.
But it's all true, right? It's all true. Anyway, so last week when we were here, we talked about Noah's flood. Right? We talked a little bit about Noah and then the grace that was given to people for 100 years. And it wasn't the next day it starts flooding around here, which was
That
bizarre.
was literally the beginning of the rains is why we were
Yeah.
just unfortunate. We're praying for all the families, and that's local. That's right here in this area. But the timing to be preaching on Noah's flood is
It was pretty
interesting.
insane how it worked out.
It's crazy to me that it's like when people found out that the kids got, there's a lot of kids that lost their life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like everybody's heart broke for the parents, for the kids, the devastation of it. Just, I mean, and then there's haters, and you're just like, oh my gosh, can you just hold on to your hate just for like a couple of weeks?
Right.
I mean, like right off the bat, I mean, people are just like devastated by one day they get, their kids at camp, and the next, hours later they get a phone call, or you see it on TV, and now your kid is gone. And, I mean, the devastation of that. But even though, which, because if that happened to me, I mean, I'll tell you, honestly, I would say that I wouldn't blame God, but some of it would. Because,
Sure.
Right, but then, I still have to realize that, hey, God's in control and he's going to help me through this. And it's easy for me to say that right now because it's not me going through that. But if you're going through it, man, our heart breaks for you. And you know what, even though, but there's been so many volunteers, so many people, and it's been affecting everybody. I talked to somebody in Houston. They say, yeah, my sister's kid, or it's just like, it's unbelievable how many people this has affected.
Yeah.
And then you remember last week when we were talking, because I don't want to be rude about this, right? I don't want to be rude because our hearts break for the tragedy of it. And one of these days, I've been thinking about this. One of these days, I'm going to get to go home to be with Jesus, and there's not going to be any problems. There's not going to be any issues. And I'm just like, what does that even look like? Because my whole life has been like issues. And I'm thinking, I make my own problems. But what would it be like to go someplace where nobody's calling you on the phone with bad news? Nobody's saying, oh, we got this problem, we got this, or we got that, or blah, 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 blah. It's always nothing but perfect. And then the more I think about that, it's hard to wrap my mind around that because I'm so used to
The opposite.
the opposite, right?
Phone call after phone call.
Phone call after phone call. But I've been excited about that because one day I'm going to get to go home and there's not going to be any phone calls. You know what I mean?
Or being unified with someone that went before you.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah. And there were no negative. We live in a negative world. There won't be any negative. No heartache. No pain.
No more sorrow, no more pain.
No more sorrow, no more pain. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I guarantee you one thing: I'm going to be doing a happy dance. Right.
Cue the footage.
Yeah, I might have to throw that in there just now.
I'm going to throw that out there. So anyway, let me get my train of thought going again before I lose it. But you know, what happened in your week this George? Anything, you know, besides, you know,
Cut.
yeah. Well, everybody's got, you know, it's been a long week, right? I mean, I know on the 4th of July, it was raining here. It wasn't even sunny, right? Because usually the 4th of July, there's a aqua boom. There's all sorts of activities. Next thing you know, there's none. And next thing you know, I live on the lake, and next thing you know, people are like, oh, the flood is coming this way. I'm like, it ain't coming this way. No. And then next thing you know, here it comes. And you're like, you got to be kidding me. People are up in my hot tub while I got my boat over there with a rope on it, trying to keep it from not coming up in my yard.
Oh, y'all still had the festivities?
Yeah, they were still over there. I mean, it was crazy. They set up a tent over the hot tub so it wasn't raining on them while they're in the hot tub. While I'm down there freaking out about my boat. And then it comes up higher and higher and higher. That my jet skis are floating. My boat's on. My neighbors are all over there. And then there was a snake. Right, I didn't see the snake, but all of a sudden somebody said, "There's a snake," and all of a sudden nobody even said, "Hey, we're going to shoot the snake." Nobody all of a sudden, boom, scared the crap out of me.
Someone shot the snake?
Somebody shot the snake without even a warning. Right, I mean, I'm telling you, man, it scared you.
What kind of snake was it?
It was a rattlesnake.
A rattlesnake.
A rattlesnake come
Fair
floating down
game.
the river.
Fair, that's,
I'm so sorry.
They were
That's
smart and wise in what they did.
So, you know, I didn't lose anything. And then, you know, about 2 o'clock in the morning, the lake started going down. So I got my boat back in there to make sure, because there's nothing worse than having your boat in your yard and the water goes
You've
down.
done that. You've done that before. That
I
was
haven't.
a few years ago.
I haven't. Well, my boat actually floated through the neighbor's yard and landed in the road, which was a blessing for me, because then somebody just picked it up with a strap and put it on a trailer. But whatever. So, you know, it was kind of a bizarre weekend for us.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Sounds
what about
very
you, Cam?
exciting.
We'll cut George some slack here. What about you?
You know, I didn't really do much on 4th of July. I woke up, you know, because all my family is like 5 hours away, like my aunt and my uncle and some family friends. And I'm asleep. I'm like, you know, I work those overnight shifts and I just came in right after work so I was like sleeping and I woke up and I have like all these missed messages where they're like, are you okay? And everyone's like freaking out. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. They're like, it's flooding where you're at.
You don't even know you opened the window. You're like, well, how about that? There is.
Yeah,
water
and I'm
out
like,
there.
I don't even know. Yeah, because, you know, I live where my condo is. I'm like right by the Guadalupe River. And then we're the San Marcos River. So they like channel in.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, dude, I'm second story condo. Like, I'm good. The only thing that's going to really get it is my AC unit, you know? Like, I'm safe. But it didn't flood anywhere where I was at. It actually really didn't even flood in San Marcos where I live. But so, I mean, I still drove to my friend's house. I got invited by Kathy. Hi, Kathy. And we ate like hot dogs and stuff. I ate my hot dog on a cucumber.
Wait a second. You've been trying to lose weight and you're eating hot dogs? What's
On a
up with
Well,
that?
cucumber.
I ate a Hebrew National.
Okay, so that makes it
Kosher. It's kosher.
It's kosher, so
kosher.
it's not. It's like better. It doesn't have as many carbs, like
Okay.
negative carbs, like bad carbs, and processed and trans fat. And then I took a big long English cucumber and I made it into a boat, and I put my Hebrew National hot dogs onto my cucumber and put my sauce on it.
Wow, sorry I asked. 'Cause that does not sound good.
It was really
That
good.
does not sound good.
No, it is so good.
It is, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I promise you, I ain't never eaten one of those.
You should try it.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Carving out a cucumber and putting a hot dog in there? Yeah, no. No
Well,
thanks.
after that, I didn't really do anything for the week because I had to go to work on Sunday. I did go get a tattoo,
Okay.
cover up my old druggy tattoos.
All right.
It's like pretty flowers.
Pretty. I like the sunflowers.
Yeah, I'm
Nice
going to
choice.
cover the rest of them too.
I'm going to get my tramp stamp covered.
That's good. I've been praying about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'd tell you what it is, but then we'd have to cut it out of here. So.
Covering up bad
Probably
decisions
not.
is what we're
Maybe
all
we
about.
can see it after the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see it after the
Oh, okay.
podcast. Yeah. What about you, Jim? How's your week been?
It's been great.
All right.
Not much has happened.
Yeah.
Which is, I keep saying, if nothing's happening, then my plan is working. I'm
Yeah.
in my rut. I'm going from day to day. But I go to the gym. I visit with people, and the thing that dominated me though was the news. That sort of set me back those few days. But
Yeah.
I work out of my house. I work by myself in an echo chamber. So if something like that happens, and while I'm working, I'm listening, working, and listening, and that's about it. But no, it's everything was fine. The water didn't disturb us. It didn't come up that far. We don't live that far from the river.
Yeah.
But it didn't really impact us. Went down and looked at it. Helped some people move some things, but that was about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no drama.
No drama.
Way to go.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Only you have the drama.
You have
I know,
drama.
I got a lot of drama. I know. You going to say something, George, or what?
I was just gonna say I had drama during the time, but it's not really for this podcast. Just it was just glimmers of God is in control of things, and it's amazing to see how He can work, and His fingerprint can be all over things. So yeah,
Okay.
but we're good. I'll stay dry.
Okay. Good. Stay dry.
Stay dry. No, put some lotion on.
Yeah, don't do that.
I just
This wasn't an ash thing, all right? It wasn't talking about my ash. I'm not ashy. I'm oily. But anyway,
That's crazy.
good
Well,
Oh.
Lord.
the other two podcasts ago, Jim had some questions for Carla.
Yeah.
Or not really for Carla, but he had some questions. So the reason Jim, he's telling me when he listens to these podcasts, he's like, well, I have these questions. And I said, well, Jim, I don't really know what your questions are while you're in your car while I'm at the podcast. I don't know what they are. Anyway, so I asked Jim, I said, Jim, you want to ask some questions? Write them out. So Jim writes a bunch of questions out. I'm reading these and I'm thinking, man, these are really good questions. Jim should be the leader of this podcast with these questions. 'Cause I
Inside
told-
Out with Jim
with
from
Jim.
the gym.
Exactly. Because I'm thinking to myself, which I actually said this on a podcast, I said, I need to figure out how to reword these questions to make it look like I was the one that came up with them. But I didn't. So I was giving you credit, Jim,
Well,
for
thank you.
that. I was
Wouldn't
giving
it
you
be
credit.
so funny if we had like a Jim call-in line? Like Jim, anytime, if we could go live and Jim could just call in, hey, you're saying this, I have this question.
When we go live.
It'd be
when we
so
start, when we
funny.
start doing
Let's
this
not do it live
that's-
because Jim's probably going to ask a question and I'm not going to understand. And I'm not going to want to go, hey, what is that? Cut. You got to make them simple. Anyway, so Jim, while you're here today, if you have any questions that are super simple, go ahead and ask us. And,
Any
and maybe
que-
you don't. Put you on the spot.
I've been watching your podcast. I think I might have missed one. In fact, I don't think I watched the Noah one. Did it come out?
Not
No.
yet.
It did.
Okay, well, that makes me
it
feel
did
better.
today. It did
Yeah.
today. It's
On
live
our
now.
way here, we could.
Yes.
We had some technical difficulties when
The
we moved
computer.
over here.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But Ben and David got those things squared
Yeah, they did.
away. 2 thumbs up for you
Yeah.
guys.
So
And a
Kudos.
toe.
the one we did last week,
So,
the
anyway.
computer decided to update during uploading.
Of
Yeah.
course it did.
So I had to redo it all.
Sorry, Jim. But
No, it's fine. And I began to, when I hear the stories, and I think the lady, your last guest, Carla mentioned it. But my question would be to Kimberly, the support group is very important. And that's obvious in many respects, but it's still, you still like to hear it from people and how important it is to them. And I was wondering, as you're getting near your date to get out of prison, do they pull these people aside and say, listen, let's go over some things that may have to happen, that you may be able to deal with this, kind of help you smooth your way into there? Is there any sort of training or
Like
counseling sessions or so forth?
not in the way that you would think. It's like the way you ask the question. I can imagine it being a certain way. No, what they do, because there's so many people in TDCJ, right? It's impossible to give everyone those kind of resources equally, because everyone has different needs. But what they do is there are certain things, like for me, because my incarceration was over a car accident from drug addiction, and then there was also drugs involved. 12 years later, like I've not been doing drugs or anything. They put me for me to be released, they put me in a program that was a drug rehabilitation program.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is like what they see as supporting.
What do they call that?
I did Safe P.
Safe P.
So there's
That's
like
right.
Safe P, there's Cognitive. It has like a different abbreviation. But the two, and there's a DWI one that is for alcohol
That's
only.
over there in Lockhart, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of, resource that I received. Does everyone get that? No. And a lot of the time, I guess it's hard to put in place something that can be solid for everyone. So a lot of the time, there are no resources like as you're going out. Now, whenever you get out of here, you have, the ability to seek out resources yourself. Like a lot of the time, men and women will like go for emergency food stamps so that they have something to eat when they first get out, and they go for the marketplace insurance so that they can get some kind of affordable health care. It's really not. I did that, and it's really not that affordable. But there are things like that. But like while you're in there and you're preparing to leave, no. I mean, there are some women and men who are preparing to leave and they don't have any family to go to, or they haven't been able to get themselves accepted into a halfway house. Like I got myself accepted. I was a big planner, like just in case type of situation. But there are a lot of people who don't have that kind of resource within themselves to know to do that. And so they don't even know where they're going until they're on that bus and they're leaving, and then they're just thrown out in the world.
When you say they don't know where they're going, they don't go to their home?
Yeah, so some like people who they might not have family support, or maybe a living family that they could go to, or they just don't have a place. A lot of the times they go to like transitional houses that are ran by the state, and they go to halfway houses is what they call them. And like the ones that are ran by the state are the ones that TDCJ will send you to. And it's just pick of the draw, kind of like a prison. Like when you're in prison, you're ward of the state, so they could just send you wherever. It doesn't matter where you lived, where your charge was out of. You could go wherever. And it's like that with halfway houses. So like you might be trying to go to Dallas, but if they can't find a place that is state ran because you don't have anywhere to go, then you might go to El Paso, where they do have a place.
And that's what you said. You were proactive. You said, well, I need to go here.
Yes.
Let me find a halfway house
because
here.
while you are in there, there's a law library, and it has like, halfway houses will put their applications in there, different things. I knew that I had a job lined up because I was in a work program. So they offered me a job at the main location when I got out, the people that ran their work program. So I knew I had a job close to Austin. So I was actively looking for places
So
that
was
were
that
in Austin.
you were proactive on all the things? and the
Yes,
places
like
you
so I
landed.
got accepted to where I went to Texas Reach Out Ministries, but you come up for parole every year. So every year you have a 50-50 chance. And so I didn't want, even though I've told y'all before, I never thought I would get out, but if I ever did, I didn't want to be blindsided because I would just fail. So I wrote all the, halfway houses that I felt like I wanted to go to, that I felt like I would, be able to thrive. And I just prayed about it and put all the letters out, and only one answered me, and that was Texas Reach Out, where I went and thrived. That's all I needed. But I was accepted into that ministry like 4 years prior to my actual release.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you have advice for ladies? So it's not them put everything. You were like, I need
Yes.
this. I know
So
I need
if
that.
if I was to have any advice for anyone, like, because I know what it's like, and you see it in other women, I saw it in other women, like they stress about it, right? And that was one thing I was like, I'm just not going to do that, like do your research, you know, and don't just decide like, hey, I want to go to this one in particular, because just because you, and it might be a really great one you want to go to, like a transitional house. But if God has something better for you, be completely open to it. So put it out there, you know, and try to get as far away, send out your letters as far away from like home as possible, from like where you actually are from, because that is like the biggest thing that I know. I made the right choice by doing that, by moving so far away. Like if I wanted to go to my hometown, I have to drive 5 hours, you know, and that's with no traffic. So like really put, it goes a lot deeper than just trying to plan. Like you really have to get right with yourself and right with God. Like what is it that where do you want your life to go? And that is, you know, base it off of that. Where do you want your life to go? Do you want to be near? I don't care if you have family there. I don't care if you have, you know, I have a kid that lives 5 hours away, but I knew it would not be beneficial for her, for me to go back to that place, because if I'm not good, I can't be good for her, you know? And like,
And I'm assuming you're saying because of the traps and the
yes,
the
because
habits
your old
are right
stomping
there.
grounds
Sure.
is waiting for you when you get back. People, maybe some people might have changed and, you know, went on with their life in a good way. I've seen that. But the same old people, just in different faces, are still there. And you're going to know, you know where all the spots are, you know where everything is. And so don't go looking for like those, you know, past lives and past acquaintances that are just, they're waiting for you. Try to go as far away as possible. You know, start fresh, start new. Get yourself away from everything that you did know, so that God can put something in your path that is new. You know, you can't put, what is it?
New wine in old wineskins up top. Great
I just saw that on, what's it called? What am I watching?
I don't
The
know what you're
Chosen.
watching.
You guys are ridiculous. Can we segue into
Segue.
this? Segue?
Segway.
Whatever. I
Segue.
want to hop on one of those little things.
He means
Let's
Subway.
do it.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. But let's take what you're talking about and then let's turn it into let's go to the lesson, because
Okay.
it fits
Okay.
in with that.
I think I know how it fits in, but go on,
Okay. So
teacher.
whatever.
Rabbi.
So George, no, I don't think I'm Jewish. So anyway, George has been saying, "Hey, can you let me know what the lesson's on like a week ahead of time?" So if you've ever been around me, a week ahead of time, I could have 15 lessons by the time that week is up, because I have no idea what's going on. But this week, I actually knew what was going on, and I told him, "Hey, here's what the lesson is."
Do you remember what you told me?
I do. What did I say?
Lot's wife.
Yes, I know it.
Is it still going to be Lot's
Yeah,
wife?
yeah,
All right.
it is.
Proud.
Yeah, it is. I know. So if they don't participate, it's not my fault this time. Anyway, I even told Jim.
That's right.
And Jim's like, I'm going to look up some of that. I'm like, well, if he didn't, whatever.
Well, he told me he did. So
He did? Okay.
He did somewhere.
All right, so let's go to some of that. You okay with that? Transition. So in Luke, Jesus actually says, first he's talking about Noah and how the end times, it's going to happen like in the time of Noah, right? You just don't know when the flood is going to come. No different than the other day. You have no idea. And I'm not saying that was God's wrath over there, because I don't think that was. That's just, things just happen, right? I mean, it's just a bad situation. But then farther down, it's talking about Lot's wife, and Jesus says, "Remember Lot's wife," right? And that's just one of those things. Like, you're like, Lot's wife, like she doesn't even have a name. Her name is Lot's wife. Yes. So then I've been looking at some sermons and I've been reading on some stuff, and it doesn't say Jesus. I think the only time Jesus says "remember" is when he says "remember me." Right? When you the Lord's Supper, remember me when I do this. And I may be wrong about that. There may be other things that he says remember, but he does not say remember my mom. Remember Ruth. Remember Eve. The only person that he says remember, I mean, I don't even think he says remember Moses. Remember, I mean, all some of the greatest, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He doesn't say, remember those guys. You know, he's talking about Noah. He's talking about Jonah, but he's not saying, remember Lot's wife. I mean, I'm just thinking of his mom. You know, you're just like, hey, Jesus, what's up with that?
Right.
You know, what about me? But anyway, he says, remember Lot's wife. And then you think, well, why do we have to remember Lot's wife? Why is that?
Hopefully you're going to tell us.
Oh, I got to tell you?
Did you want us to answer, or is this rhetorical?
I was going to ask you, but I could read it in this Bible about what happened to Lot's, or I could just tell you what's happened. Let me just tell you some of the stuff that's happened. So last week we were talking about Noah and then how corrupt the earth had become. And God gave the people at Noah's time 100 years of grace, and they all refused. Noah's like, hey, it's going to rain. God's going to, do something. And everybody just was making fun of them, or they just said no. And next thing you know, man, it starts to rain. And then something else I can add to last week is they say God shut the door, because you know what? It'd be hard to shut the door. Right. And then remember last week when I said God must have done something to Noah, because after me just knowing some of what happened in Kerrville, just think of the scale of Noah's time, because there was way more people, way more kids, way more everything. It would have just been, how could you ever regroup from that? So something had to have happened to where you just didn't get to see all of that. But anyway, so, blank. Okay, so then the earth gets populated again, and now there's this town called Sodom and Gomorrah that is so ruthless. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's ruthless. So Abraham and Lot, they kind of split up, and Lot goes to Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's where the town that he lives in. And then these two angels come to him, and they were gonna. The two angels come, and Lot says, "Come on over to the house. You can stay at my house." And they're like, "No, we're going to stay in town." Like, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to stay in this town, right? Which was, and they said, okay. So they went to Lot's house. He feeds them. They have dinner, and they're fixing to go to sleep, and they get a knock on the door. Which this is so bizarre. But they get a knock on his door it says young and old. And these people are surrounding Lot's house. And they knock on the door, and Lot's like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Those two guys, those angels, bring them out here so we could have sex with them." I mean, it's just bizarre they've come so corrupt, so ruthless, so, devastating. I mean, it's just crazy to even think about some of that stuff. And then Lot, he's like, "Hey, here, I'll send you my daughters out that have never had sex with anybody." Which I'm thinking, why would you do
That's
that?
his plan B?
That was his plan B, which it's a totally different time, right? Because we're just like, I would never do that. I would never even think of that. But anyway, Lot's doing that, right? So anyway, they don't want the daughters. They want those two angels. They want to have sex with these angels. Bizarre to me, just bizarre. So anyway, what happens is the angels pull Lot back into his house, close the door, and they blind everybody who's outside. So everybody. So they can't find the door. That is a lesson in itself.
We keep coming back to that door.
Because sometimes, you know what? Sometimes our sin will blind us to where we can't find the door. The door that Jesus is saying, "Hey, I am the door." And sometimes your sin will cause you devastation. And anyway, so then these angels are telling Lot that, "Hey, you guys, you need to roll out of here because we're fixing to destroy this town." And then so they said, "Is there anybody else you know in this town that you need to talk to?" It's like, so Lot went to his son-in-laws, or almost son-in-laws, because they were engaged to Lot's two kids, right, his two daughters. And it says in the Bible that the son-in-laws, or the future son-in-laws, they thought that Lot was just joking. Like, that's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. No different than what's happening to us today, man. There's devastation all the time. And you know what? You can say, well, God's never coming back, or God's never going to do this. Well, God is coming back. You just don't know when. And it says, like, in the time of Noah and the time of Lot. So anyways, Lot's, long story short, which this is not really the short version, but the angels tell Lot, man, you got to go and to go to the mountains. But anyway, there was another town. So Lot's, okay, how about we can get to this other town because, like I'm an old guy and I might not be able to run that far. So anyway, they said, okay, you get to this town. Anyway, the son-in-laws, they don't come. And then the daughters do come. The daughters do come. And then it says that Lot hesitates, but the angels grab Lot's hands and the hands of the daughters and the mom and said, let's go. So they help go. And then the angels say, do not look back. Do not look back. So then what happens? They get so far, and Lot's wife looks back and turns into a pillar of salt. It's crazy to me. It's just like the one thing that they say do not do is look back. And she looks back. But the daughters, they don't look back. And Lot doesn't look back. Anyway, his wife just, next thing you know, she's frozen in space or into pillar of salt. And then, wrath comes to Sodom and Gomorrah. It takes care of everybody. The vegetation, I guess the animals, everybody is gone again. It's just a devastation because of their sin. So why does Jesus say again? Why does Jesus say in the New Testament, remember Lot's wife? Question.
Real question or rhetorical?
Real question.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what a rhetorical question is.
It's a question that's so obvious. This is my turn to be an English teacher. A rhetorical question is a question that is so obvious we all know the answer and it doesn't beg to be answered.
Okay, but,
what color is the sky?
Okay, but this is
more. This is not a rhetorical question.
This is not a rhetorical.
What was the
question.
context that Jesus says, "Remember Lot's wife"? What's happening in the New Testament? What's he talking about? What's the situation where he says that?
He's talking about. Well, I'll just read it.
Let's read it.
Let's read it. Here.
Go to the word. It's kind of significant and important
you
for
got
us to
a
know.
boom mic. You can move your mic now.
I do have a mic,
just-
but you touch it, it'll go pink. Anyway, I've got me this
Adventure.
Adventure Bible, like a little kid's Bible, but it's okay. It's got a lizard on there. You should be happy about that.
I am.
It's got a dragon on there.
Did y'all see my cute
Number-
little lizard pictures?
Number
this
one
morning?
you
Bible
posted
for
today.
kids, right? Number one Bible for kids.
I just want you to know I had to put my lizard up to come to this podcast, and he was mad at me.
You should have brought him.
You're
He
what?
could have hung into
I
Jim's
have
beard for a
bearded
while.
dragons.
Oh, what is that?
Oh my gosh! Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, don't
No.
want to know, Jim.
They're like,
Don't ask that question.
They're reptiles. They're
It's like an iguana.
They're like a Australian bred
Lizard.
lizards.
They breathe fire.
Yeah, they do. It's a good
They
place.
try to. They make the noise like they will, right?
No,
They
they
just
don't
sit there
make
and
noise
go,
at all.
None.
None.
No.
Put something on him where he can like.
they judge
sounds like
you.
he's making.
That's how Jim lights her cigarettes.
They sit quietly and judge you.
They do. Zombie looks like Jabba the Hutt, like this, just judging you all day.
Kim doesn't smoke. Sorry. Okay. So here it goes. It says, just as it was in the day of Noah. So we're in Luke 17:26. Just as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and being given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating, drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. But the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, no one who is on the housetop with possessions inside should go down and get them. Likewise, no one in the field should go back for anything. Remember Lot's wife. Whoever tries to keep their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life will preserve it. I tell you, on that night, two people will be in one bed, one will be taken and the other left. Two women will be grinding together, one will be taken and the other left. Where, Lord? They asked. He replied, where is a dead body? There are vultures. Where there's a dead body, there the vultures will gather.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes me feel like my interpretation of what happened in the Old Testament is accurate, because I've heard some people think that it's just that the destruction or whatever was going on was such that she shouldn't see it with natural eyes. And that's what, but it seems like where he's going with this is the whole stop looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that
Yeah.
parable, like a man who puts his hands to the plow and then looks back. You know, like it's not good. So, one of the things, you know, I know it probably gets old, me just relating it to like my past life, but that's my big thing, right? It's kind of like that, like whenever you've lived like the kind of life that I've come out of, like me looking back, like with like desire for drug use or to throw myself in careless acts of not romance, not love, you know, and things like that. Me, if I was to sit here today and knowing that God's leading me somewhere, like these angels, you know, are of God, right? They come from the heavens and they're leading them out of a place that is just so wicked and so vile and just so destructive. I mean, it's like men are marrying, sleeping, laying with men, and women laying with men, prostitution, you know, drinking to get drunk. So me, if I was to be doing what I'm doing now today with you, I'm a mess, right? But I live a pretty holy life, you know, considering. And then if I was to like look back at that old life of that girl with the needle in her arm and thought it was just fun to be promiscuous and just throw myself around in the world, I would be like, you know, Lot's wife. It's like, don't look back on the things that, you know, don't matter. And that's how it's the kingdom, right? He said, Jesus says that's how it is going to be when the kingdom comes. Like, don't look back at this world and all these worldly things that you have and that you love so much, you know. Don't look back because those are the ones that are going to get left behind. You know, keep your eyes on God. Keep your eyes on what's right, on what's pure, what's holy.
It seems like anytime God says, do not do that, it's like you want to do it.
I know. It's like a kid whenever you're like,
It's like a
don't touch
kid.
it, it's hot.
Don't touch it, it's hot. And then it's a
Yeah, they don't touch it again, though.
yeah. But the thing about it is, like, you know, what did she love? What did she love so much that she wanted to look back, right? So you know, what's so important in your life that now it's become so important to you that you can't leave it, right? Her kids were there, right? But maybe it was her house or whatever. Maybe some things were
lifestyle.
her lifestyle, and then maybe she didn't want to leave it. And then, you know what? When we talk about the prison stuff, right? Because, you know, like I was just saying, I just saw a girl the other day who was back to prison. Like she said, "Hey, Mr. Amazing, how's it going?" I was like, "Yeah." She said, "You remember me?" And the first thing I thought was, "Oh no," you know, like I know what that means. She came back to prison. Why did she come back? Why do people go back to prison? It's because they continue to look back. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, you know, you have a testimony. So, right, we should be sharing our testimony. So we know that that's the past. But we're not going back to the past.
No.
We're going back to the past to share what God's taken us now. But we're not going back. And then it seems to me as though when you go back, because a lot of times people are afraid at the prison where they're saying, I'm going to go home, but now I'm going back to where I was. Where you said, yeah, I want to go someplace else. I need to go 5 miles away.
Yeah.
But sometimes maybe God is saying, remember Lot's wife. Maybe you're sitting in prison right now and you're fixing to go home in 2 weeks or tomorrow or a month and a half from now, or when you see this podcast in 3 years, because we finally get on Pando. But whatever the case may be is, maybe you're, you're thinking about, that's the only alternative I have is go back. Remember Lot's wife. You know, the thing about Lot's wife is she got stuck where she should not have been. She was meant to go through where she was. But when she looked back, she was stuck right there. She missed the future. And then, I know this is crazy to even say, but Lot's wife didn't really get saved. Lot's wife refused. I think Lot's wife had little faith. I got to have big faith to no matter what I've accumulated on this planet, doesn't matter compared to the riches that I have with glory.
Well, it says in the Bible, what a man desires in his heart, that he will be. Like, so she had desire for something other than what was right in her heart, other than God, the path that God was leading them on. And like how, her Lot, her husband, was leading his family. You know, the man back then led the family. You know, and he was leading her, you know, on a path that God gave him, and she had other desires in her heart, and so I think that's very accurate. She wasn't saved. She didn't have desire for God.
And it's so true, because how many times have things got in my way? Money, work, relationship, whatever the case may is. You know, some of these things, they get in your way of what's really important. Like, why would I trade whatever it is here for going home to where my house really is in heaven, to where there's no issues? Why would I ever look back and say, I might look back and say, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
You know,
there's no sun
but I'm
because
not-
God's the light there. That's amazing.
But I'm not looking back like I want to go there. I'm looking back as in, I am glad I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got something you want to share, Jim? Put you on the spot on that?
Questions?
Well, yeah, as I was listening to the story, I thought of what you said about getting out, because I thought it was sort of counterintuitive to leave. Don't go to where you know, where your base of support may be or should be, is to go away from that and seek a new life, which takes a certain type of faith,
Yeah.
bravery. And in this case with Lot's wife, it's human nature to deal with the devil that you know versus the one you don't know, no matter how bad that devil is. But it has to be faith that what you're stepping into, the unknown, will turn out okay. And even though it may have just been a blink, just a twitch, that was enough. And that's a lesson too, because I mean, you know, it's sort of like, well, how pregnant are you? There's not degrees. Either you are or you aren't.
Yeah.
And so I think in that regard, God said, don't look back. That's the past. But she blinked and looked back, and that was enough to show you didn't have faith to go forward. And it's kind of a harsh penalty. But if I've heard of anything, any criticism of the current situation nowadays is that there are no consequences. And she suffered a consequence. So
Oh, there are consequences.
No, I know, because I know some terrible consequences, right? But you know, Jim's right on that, and
Yeah.
so are you, Kimberly. The thing about it is, quit looking back. Go to where God's got you. God wants the best for you. He didn't take you to prison just to really punish you. He brought you to prison to rescue you. He brought you to prison to give you a do-over. Take the do-over. He's given Lot and his wife a do-over to let's get out of here before this whole thing gets destroyed. And Lot's wife said, no, don't be Lot's wife, right? Don't get stuck where you're not supposed to be. You know, sometimes we get caught, like you said, sometimes we get caught in what we know instead of what God's got for us. And you know what? How many times? You got to live by faith, not by sight. God wants you to have faith, and then he supplies it. So you know what? Quit looking back. And I've heard, well, it's easy for you. I don't have nobody. I don't this. Those are just excuses, because guess what? I have no idea what Lot gave up, but I'm sure that he was wealthy, very wealthy. And you know what? He didn't look back. He listened to the Lord and he moved on. Was he perfect? No. Yes?
do we know what happened a lot?
We probably do, but that's for a different, yeah. It's kind of
haven't
like,
dug
you
into
know
that
what happened to
scripture yet.
Noah, right? Well, in the end, Jimmy died. You know?
He's dead.
He's no longer with us.
He's no longer with
He
us.
became a drunk and he died.
Even if he doesn't have anything now. And, you know, he left it all.
He left it all.
He left
he
all
started
his
from scratch.
worldly things.
That's true.
You know, because he followed what God said, right? He said, go. And he went and he took his family. And so I'm sure like later on, God, you know, it's whatever. Back then it was different. Like here nowadays we're like, oh, a house and a car and a money and wealth and stability and being able to go to sleep at night and not worry about my bills or food. Back then it was like, you know, having children and family lineage and a woman,
property and
you know,
horses
stuff
and
like that.
donkeys and sheep.
Well, there was
cattle.
pressure on the food
Sure.
thing too.
Yeah, I'm sure they got
And the
I'm sure they
water
got that
and the
stuff.
shelter. There was all those same pressures then as there are now. And I think it's great courage for someone to step out. I was listening to your other guest the other day, Kara, what's her name?
Carla.
Carla.
When she said she got out, she had a place, but it was trashed out. She didn't get the electricity, wasn't there. Or she had to turn it on. Didn't have a car. Had to walk. Didn't have dishes, plates. And it's easy to say, yeah, just start over, but it's different, like you're saying. And no, the electricity is going to be turned off tomorrow, and I don't have a job.
Yeah.
But I have faith that it's all going to come out. And even if the electricity gets shut off, I'm going to have faith that I'm going to get it back on.
Yeah.
And that sounds easy in writing until you're living it. And I've never lived it, but I have appreciate how difficult it must be.
But Carla, you know what?
pretty
When she was
difficult.
saying that, you know what? When she got back, there was somebody had meth right there.
Yes. Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well,
Yes,
guess
right.
what? She didn't look back.
No, she
She's
didn't.
like, no, I'm
she
not
crushed
doing that.
it.
She crushed it.
Yeah.
And how tough it would have been, and having to start over, no different than Lot and his kids. They had to start over.
Start over.
But then now Carla wouldn't be where she was if she got stuck there like a pillar of salt. Yes, same with you, Kim, right? You have your opportunity to go back. There's so many people that keep going back. You got to quit going back.
And it's not always, and you can take that lesson too. It doesn't have to be as dire as say, I'm getting out of prison or whatever. It could be like we have to move to better ourselves, and we have to move from this community where all our relatives are, our friends are. We're going to move over here. Yes, it's not the other side of the world. At the same time, we're going to be in a city that we don't know anybody.
Yeah.
We're going to be basically taking care of ourselves until we meet people and get on our feet and get started. So we can either look back and moan the loss of our friends, or we can celebrate a new beginning and make a new living and still celebrate our friends because we'll see them again someday. They're not gone. But let's have a positive attitude about it. So it could be that as well. Just a lesson on how to deal with change.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
That's where Debbie Downer would, because that is so my part when we talk about Lot's wife. I could easily see this because I'm one that I would rather be in a situation that's miserable because I hate change and I resist change so much. To that next step might be tenfold blessings, easier life, happiness, and all that stuff, but I get comfortable with what I know. And you were kind of mentioned that, and that's a horrible place where I tend to park. And when we're talking about Lot's wife and looking back, you can't help but think of the Israelites and the slavery, and they get to this point where they're freed from the slavery and they're wandering, and there's times where they're like, I wish we would be back in bondage, and it's like, so it's like there's for an idiot like me, sometimes there's comfort. Like, I'm not the only person that gets into that warped mindset, but I think she was suffering from that warped mindset too. She was so afraid of letting go of whatever it was that it's like, even if this is a blessing in front, she never gets to know.
That's true. And then, but also, I think that God still gave the people in Sodom and Gomorrah a chance to regroup.
But he annihilated them, didn't he?
He did. But he was showing them some grace. It's time to regroup, but they didn't, and they didn't, and they didn't, and they didn't. And next thing you know, man, here we go. It's over.
So he gave them warnings prior to that.
I'm
chances.
sure that he's given them chances, just like in Noah's time. He gave them 100 years of grace.
All throughout the Bible, you see that God gives them chance after chance after chance to turn back from their ways, and it. Sometimes you see the good stories, but Sodom and Gomorrah just never did. They weren't the kind of community that did turn back.
It was just super evil.
You have angels coming to your doorstep, and the city is
The
gathering.
community has gathered and said, "Hey, have you seen what's
with these angels? Because those things are pretty. You know what I mean? Like, that
bizarre is that?
sad.
How is bizarre? But they said that they would look like men, right? But still, how bizarre is that? How warped is it? I mean, I could see how God's just like, you know what? This is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it is really sad.
The thing about it though is Jesus is coming back again, and you know what? I'm thinking we're so, and they may have been adjusted to it too. They were used to it, just like, oh, you want to, whatever. We're kind of getting used to it too, and it's ridiculous. We shouldn't be, but anyway, let's move on a little bit. Let's look at something from a little different perspective, if that's okay, right?
All right.
So, So what about Lot's wife, right? Where is her identity now? Where is her identity?
Well,
Like when you read about Lot's wife, what is her identity? She's a pillar of salt.
Pillar of salt.
That's her identity.
In fact, isn't there a real pillar of salt in that area?
There
They call
is.
Lot's wife or
there
something.
is. I just watched the documentary on
Yeah,
it.
she's now a
Tourist trap.
a tourist trap.
Yeah, now
There's
she's a tourist
Lot's
trap.
wife right there, that pillar of salt.
Yeah, probably not in the same thing, but her identity is wrapped up now in that. Remember Lot's wife, her is what? Lack of faith. It was about her possessions. She cared more about the things of this world. All the things, she's stuck in her ways. She's looking backwards. She's not looking forward. She's not trusting the Lord. You know, that's where her identity is.
That's what got frozen in time. You're right.
You know, her. So if her tombstone, which I heard this and I thought, man, this is really good. I'm going to steal this. So her tombstone, like when you go to a funeral, which is kind of weird, and you know, we've talked about this before, Jim, because that's why I'm working out, because at the funeral, I want the open casket to say, man, that guy, look at he's ripped.
Hey, what a viewing.
I know,
That guy's-
what a viewing.
Let's open the rest up so we can this whole
Oh
body.
my God.
I know. I know. We've had those conversations before.
He's getting in shape for the view.
Yeah. I just want to be buried like this.
Wow, you're so morbid.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. But whatever. That's my identity. But when you go to funerals, like, how do they wrap up somebody's life in an hour or 2 hours? But usually funerals aren't that long. How do you wrap somebody's identity up in that short of a time? And then this guy that I was watching this sermon, he was talking about how his grandparents had at the tombstone. You know, and then sometimes, like on the tombstone, it says, you know, the age of you are, when you died, you know, your name, and then maybe something like, you know, maybe it has a hammer on it, or maybe it has a fishing rod, or maybe it has a boat, or maybe it has, you know, barbells, or maybe it has whatever your identity is, right, on the tombstone. And that's what, you know, people can come up and say, oh, I could see this guy used to be a wrestler, or he used to be a this. And then he said his grandparents had a tombstone that's, you know, it had it's a double tombstone. So they had underneath the mom and the dad, they said, in our house, we will serve the Lord, right? So you knew where their identity was. And on the backside of it, it had hearts, and it had their kids' names engraved in those hearts. So he was saying about, like, where was their identity? Their identity was in Christ. Their identity was in faith. Their identity was in family. Their identity was in, you know, good and moral and, you know, trying to serve the Lord. Where, you know, that's where my identity is now, in Christ. You know, I still goof stuff up, but my identity is in Christ. I remember when my identity used to be in all sorts of different things, just like we were saying, but I don't want I would love it to where, and it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be around, but to where your identity is in faith, right? Just imagine you are in this Old Testament as the one who turned around when the angel said not to. You disobeyed what God said to you. And then you're in the New Testament where Jesus, the creator of it all, calls you out.
Don't be like this
And he
person.
says, remember Lot's wife. I mean, that's deep. That's heavy. That's not just like, hey, just remember the wife, this is like, remember her. And I don't want my identity to be wrapped up in remember that when I came and you didn't feed somebody, or you didn't clothe somebody, or you didn't give somebody some water, or you didn't help somebody at the flood, or you didn't help somebody at the prison, or you didn't help somebody here and there. Your identity is so wrapped up in your own stuff. I don't want my identity to be wrapped up in that. I want my identity to be wrapped up in, hey, that was my grandpa who taught me about the Lord. That's my dad who had big faith when things were struggling. That's what I want. I want to, not the legacy, right? But I would like to have my identity based in those things instead of being the guy who said, my house is more important, or my car is more important, or my this is more important. Jesus needs to be the most important thing.
Amen.
Right?
Absolutely.
So maybe that's a different way to look at it. And I know it's not really about the, when you die, but maybe Lot's wife's identity was just wrapped up in the wrong stuff. And maybe, I don't know where you're at right now. Maybe your identity is wrapped up in the wrong stuff. And remember Lot's wife. You don't want to be the pillar of salt. You want to be the one who's following the Lord, that's trusting in the Lord in all situations, even though we struggle. Right? And then I go back to the people that have lost all these kids and the devastation. And I know in my own life, I know that it would be such a struggle that I know that I would be blaming God. I would think, wow, why did you let that happen? You could have changed it. I know that I would be saying those things, but I also know that the Holy Spirit would be on my shoulder saying, I'm here with you. I am helping you get through this. And how great would it be to have the faith that even though something so devastating happened to you, you know where your kid is. You know that he's with the Lord. You know that he's in heaven. You know that he's in perfection right now. You know that he may be with grandma or grandpa or great-grandma, but he's not struggling anymore. He doesn't have to go through all the stuff. And I know I would like to be the mom and dad who, yeah, you're struggling, you're heartbroken, and you're devastated, but to have the big faith to say, you know what, I'm going to stand with Christ no matter what. I don't want to be the pillar of salt in that, where I get stuck in where I need to be.
That's true.
It's some good stuff. I think that's where we really all want to be. We all want to be in our big faith. When Jesus comes back, I want to run to him. I don't want to just like, well, hold on a minute, man. I'm trying to get some money out of the bank, or, wait a second, man. I'm filling my truck up with gas, or just hold on a minute. I just got my food from the Chick-fil-A, or whatever the case may be is. I don't want to be. I just want to that's Jesus. Let's go. And then maybe you're just looking back like, it's this way, The closest I think that I've ever come to thinking it was Jesus coming back was at 9/11.
Really?
You remember 9/11 when the plane ran into the tower? Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, Jesus is coming back.
Oh my gosh, that shows your age. I was in junior high.
Yeah, I know.
Watching it at school.
Thanks. But I remember thinking, man, Jesus coming back. And I was looking at the clouds thinking, okay, where are you? Right? But one day he's going to be doing that. I don't want to be caught off guard. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be times where I'm going to be caught off guard. I don't want to be caught off guard.
No.
That makes some sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Make sure you're found ready to go.
That's right. And you better have your boots on.
Better
Jim
have
from
your
the
boots
gym.
on. Jim from the gym. Jim will be able to blow by everybody's running by.
He's got his running shoes.
I know. He's all limber because he's stretching all the time.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
He's in better shape than me. I'm 37.
Well,
How old are you, Jim?
I'm 68.
68 with the body like a 27-year-old?
No, hardly.
Oh,
Hardly.
okay.
Just so you know, I usually wouldn't say this, but Jim is in better shape than you. And I don't know that about you, but Jim is pretty good shape.
I'm sure. I mean, I started working out because I noticed one day I was carrying, so I park way over here, right? It's my parking spot. All the way down here through my little cul-de-sac, all the way up my stairs, and I was out of breath carrying my groceries one day, and I was like, okay, I got to do something about this.
Yeah, you're going to need lighter groceries. How about if we do this before George sings, right before George sings? Let's do it, because I like doing this. How about, Kimberly or George, whatever, and then Jim, why don't you look into one of the cameras, and there may be somebody struggling with something today or whatever that you might want to just, speak to them. Speak something that you're getting that maybe, will help somebody or encourage somebody.
Well, the message that of Lot's wife, it just rings true with me because I do get in this situation, in this mindset of, and it just is who I am, and it's not a good thing, but I'd rather suffer where I am than drop it. So if God's calling you to drop it, by all means, drop whatever that thing is and move forward. Have that, I love that term, big faith. Maybe that's the title for today's podcast, but having that big faith to just let go and absolutely let go. When you're talking about Lot's wife's identity or what would be on her tombstone, I'm sure whatever it was that she was looking back whatever caused her to look back, it is that thing.
Yeah.
That she's like, I don't want to let go of that. What's happening to that? And I hate that I can relate, but I've got a list of about 10 things. I'm like, I bet I would have been looking back to see what this, this is kind of random, but in my head when you were talking about that, just when Jesus says, let the dead bury their own dead, kind of rang. And maybe that was a significant part of, don't look back. As I'm calling you into this adventure, this thing, whatever it is, whatever it is, don't look back. That's going to take care of itself. Move forward and move.
That's going to cause death.
Yeah.
And you follow me, not me, but Jesus. It brings life. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I have.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Kimberly?
Oh,
is it my turn?
I think that, I always say my people, so if this is ever into the prison, I think
when it is
in the prison. And I suppose outside world, can apply it. A lot of the time, people, the things that we have when we're with certain people, all right, let me just be real. So there's no person, no man or woman, whatever your preference is, and no life that comes with them that holds any value than the life that is for you, solely just yours, by following God and by pushing through and stepping out on that, what did you call it, unshakable faith? I like to call it just taking that free fall of faith and actually stepping into something new. There's no amount of value in anything than what is in front of you. Because if you've already been through it, right, and you've already lived it and it hasn't turned out great, it's not ever going to. It's bad for a reason. If he or she, was bad once, it's bad for a reason, God has something completely amazing. And sometimes it's hard to even really think that. And sometimes it just sounds silly when you're reading it in the Bible that he will continue a good work he's begun in us. He'll finish it, complete it. It's silly sometimes because I've been there where I've read it and I'm like, this is silly. It is complete 110% factual, but it takes that free fall faith. And if you cannot refrain from dipping your toes in like the waters that once was, or what you used to know, or what you have always known, or in that whole thought process of, I don't have anyone, I don't have anything. I came out of prison with the clothes on my back, 5 hours away from my hometown, no family. Everyone had passed away where I was gone. I'm telling you, God will give you a new family. It says it in the Bible. I will set the solitary a new family. I will set the captives free. And God will give you a new purpose. I'm here on this podcast. I have an amazing job. I spread hope, with my testimony. And God will give you everything you need. I had a huge debt come up. Surprisingly, had no idea how it was going to happen. It was a pretty big debt, and I had no idea how it was going to happen. But I told God, hey, God, I don't know what to do. I don't want to freak out about it though. What was it? I told y'all 1 week. The very next week, y'all got a whole text message where I'm like, hey guys, I don't know how it happened, but I was able to do it. God will provide, and it might not seem like enough ever, because life is like that. There's never enough money, never enough food, never enough clothes, never enough success. But it's always the right amount at the right time. And it's like that for everything. His mercy, his grace, his providence, everything. So there is no value in anything that you've ever known before. The only value is what God has lying ahead for you. But you have to step out into that free fall faith for it.
Okay. Uncle Si? Sorry, Jim.
Buy a duck call.
Yeah.
No, life is a series of decisions. Some of them are so simple and so irrelevant that you don't even think about them, like turn left or turn right, maybe something that's simple. Or there's major decisions. And when you add them all up, you look back and you say, look, that's a path that I was on. So you get on this path and you follow it where it leads you, because if you have faith, you know that the hand of God is with you, and they have put you in a position to take advantage of things that came your way. Not all of them are pleasant. Some of them are unpleasant. But instead of constantly looking back and wishing I would have been there, it distracts you from looking into the future and appreciating what you have in the moment. It's like an old thing I learned in sports. You can't trip on something that's behind you. You can only trip on what's in front of you. And the whole point of that was that, look, you made a mistake, forget about it, learn from it and do better, but keep facing forward and don't quit, don't go back. And so many people, me included, you need to remind yourself of that you're on this path for a reason, that God led you to certain things. He put certain things in front of you to take advantage of. Some things you did, some things you didn't, but they all added up and they put you where you are here today. And looking back will only bring disappointment and regret and maybe take away from what you truly have at the moment. So make the best of what you have.
Good
Well
stuff.
said.
Well said. Jim from the gym.
Jim from the gym.
Talented. I know it.
What do you think of these muscles?
That's good. That's impressive.
Jim's the perfect guy to ask that because
That's
Jim is going to
impressive.
say those are absolutely beautiful. he's
He
not,
probably sees a lot more muscular women. This is like,
Those are some guns. Do
yeah, those are
you
some
have a
guns.
license? Do you have a license to carry those?
Yeah, I'm glad you
this
didn't
is
ask me.
Hammer Brothers. Sledge
That's
and
why she
Jack.
didn't
Yeah,
ask
she
you.
didn't ask me. She
Ask
did-
the new guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Well, George, you going to sing some today?
I think I'll sing some.
Good. We're missing you singing some.
All right.
So now what? We have to
Magic trick.
Magic
trick. You going to talk about this song, George?
I don't know what I'm doing,
You don't? Okay.
but I probably need my magic trick to. So I'm just gonna do this. I think we'll sing the songs and then we'll come and see what needs to be said about them.
Okay.
But I'm actually gonna do a different song than what's actually on the table at the moment.
Okay.
But
You didn't have to tell anybody because
I
they
got a
couldn't see
reason.
it.
I got a reason.
Okay.
The enemy may take some things, but he can't take my worship. Can't take my worship. The enemy may take some things, but he can't take my worship. Can't take my worship. Lungs, breathe, mouth, sing, hands, reach. This is my way to victory. The enemy may take some things, but he can't take my worship. Can't take my worship. Oh, the enemy may take some things, but he can't take my worship. Can't take my worship. Lungs, breathe, mouth, sing, hands, reach. This is my way to victory. The enemy may take some things, but he can't take my worship. Can't take my worship. The enemy may take some things, but he can't take my worship. Can't take my worship. God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, of faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you say. And though the storm may come and the wind may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storm may come and the wind may blow, I remain steadfast. And let my heart learn, when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He will never let me down. And I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He will never let me down. He will never let me down. Though the storm may come, the wind may blow, I'll remain steadfast. And let my heart learn, when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. Thank you. And I think the lesson to be learned, the message in there is that he is faithful in those things that call us to look back. Just be faithful, have the big faith, to keep looking forward, to not be tempted, to not be called back, let the dead bury their own dead, and just live and breathe and move in his goodness and his kindness. And you'll be a lot better for it. And I'm preaching to myself more than anyone who could possibly be watching right now.
Good. That may be true. That's all of us.
I know
though.
it
That's all of
is.
us. That's all of us.
I'm George, and I approve this message.
That's funny. All right, so, whatever you're going through today, and I'm not saying that some of the stuff that's not just gut-wrenching, but you can make it through it. Just trust in Christ. Just wrap your arms around him. Just keep focused on him. He will get you through this. He will get you through it. Stand strong, because there's lots of people watching. It's not really about other people watching, except for when you have big faith, man, God can really show up on that. He can really show up. Not that he can't show up with little faith, because he can, but there's something about encouraging other people when you have the strength to stand strong no matter what happens, and you know that God's going to take care of it. Yes? So you know what? You can change the lives of so many people just by standing up and being strong in your faith. So whatever that's worth, thanks for joining us today in our YouTube ministry podcast location. Studios, yeah. In the hill country of Texas, right?
That's it.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Jim, for coming today.
Thank you for inviting
Yes,
me.
nice
Thanks,
meeting
Jim.
you.
Pleasure.
Jim, and
Thank you. Nice meeting you all.
Kimberly and George and Mr. Amazing. Until next week, God bless you all.
God bless.